Hi, welcome to my channel. I've lost 180 pounds with keto, carnivore, and counting calories. Don't forget to check the description to this video. I have links to some of my popular videos, a link to my Amazon account for a lot of things that you all ask about. Don't forget I have a bunch of playlists on the home page of this channel. Thank you. Meal prep today is starting with this big old 10-pound ground beef patty, or ground beef. I've had this out all night, so it's been defrosting all night. I cut it in half. And then let's move over to here. I take this ground beef and I cut, hard for you to see, hang on. I take put the ground beef in there, and I take my knife and I slice down the side of it. That way I can pull it out. Let me do the other one before, and then I'll touch it afterwards. I'm going to slice the other one while it's down in the sink. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I just make a slice right here along the wrapping, and then I drop it in. I should have done that with the first one that way, but I wanted you to see me do it. So now, with clean hands, I can pull this out. Now, if I want a lot of broth for my dogs, then I pour in a lot of water. I don't necessarily want that this time. So I do want a little bit of water though. So I'm going to get a little bit of water. The water just keeps it from sticking and burning to the plastic. So I'm taking this little container. This is probably a 2-cup container. I'm putting half in one and half in the other. Then I'm going to put it on low, low, and low. And these are going to cook for 4 hours. And usually most of my ground meat will cook for 4 hours, whether it's beef or pork. 4 hours on low tends to be how long it takes. Every hour I will come in and I will use this and I will break it apart. I'll show you me doing it, but I'll come in and I'll chop it up. And otherwise, I've never not chopped it up. Well, I think I did once, but it becomes one big old meatloaf. Now, if you want one big meatloaf, that's cool. Yeah, maybe I should try that sometime. But anyway, so I'm going to just come in every hour and chop it up. And then I'll show you whenever we do that. But that's what our meal prep is right now, is these. It's a 10-pound, I don't know, fat boy is what I call it. 10-pound chunk of a 73% ground beef. And when I got these, they were $2.78 a pound. So $2.78 per pound is pretty doggone cheap. Can't get a lot of stuff for that price. So every hour I will come in, I'll take the lid off, and I chop off the ground beef. For the record, yes, I use plastic in here. And if you comment down in the comment section about me using plastic, it will fall on deaf ears because I don't care. I understand people say plastic's bad for you. When I was a kid, I drank out of a rusty old garden hose. And I played in the street in the rain. So I've done a whole lot of things in my life. And eating out of plastic is not going to kill me. So like I said, every time I make this video, somebody comes in the comments. I understand if you don't want to eat out of plastic. That is wonderful. And you take care of you. But just know that, yes, I am well aware of what people say about how bad plastic is, but I also don't care. There's other things that's going to kill me. And anyway, so now I come in every 1 hour and I chop up my ground beef. Again, it's on low. And I come in and I look at the texture of the ground beef. You know, I kind of, once I get it all mushed up, I kind of look, I'm like, okay, well, Yeah, it's still pink. It's got a while to go. And so usually, like I said, this takes about 4 hours. So I usually have to come in and chop it about 3 or 4 times. So, all right, I'll put the lid back on and see you in 1 hour. Okay, so here's our second time coming in. I'll give you a straight shot of what I see when I do it. I go through. I like having 2 hands because sometimes I need to hold the plastic. But I just go through and chop it up. Chop this up too. And then Ziggy, crock pot timer, 1 hour. Ziggy, crock pot timer, 1 hour. Okay. More than likely when I come back, it might be done. I don't have to have it all the way cooked because I microwave it for 2 minutes whenever I cook it up. But yeah, so I'll be back in 1 hour. It has been 1 more hour. And now I'm going to go ahead and chop it up and see it's all cooked. And it's the texture, it's the, you know, the color and texture. I like it. There's a weensy bit of pink in it. So I would call this more like a little more than medium, but not medium well. So anyway, so now I'm going to get it all out into servings. I'm going to stir this one up and then we'll get it going. I measure my meat. I don't always measure my side dishes, but I always measure my meat because my eyes are bigger than my stomach. And if it were left up to me, I would get the wrong amount. So I measure in ounces. And I always do, I used to do 8 ounces of this 73%. But as my weight kind of did a little bit of a creep up, I have dropped to 7 ounces. So I'm going to do as close to 7 ounces as I can. And I'll show you how many of these we make. I strain out the fat. You can see that straining out from my spoon. I strain out the fat. So while, yes, it's 73%, in reality, it's probably more like 80-20 by the time I get all the fat out of it. And then I use the fat to make fat bombs for the dogs, or treats. And so I'll make those later on. But yeah, so I'm going to keep going. And we're going to do 7-ounce servings of ground beef. At this stage, I take the bag out and I use a strainer and get the meat out of the bottom of the bag. And second here, got to figure out where I'm at. And yeah, so then I toss the bag away. And then I can get just the meat out of here. And then at this stage, I can take this and I can just wash this by hand, or I can put it in my dishwasher, whatever I feel like. But now, this is going to be hot. Here, let me show you. But now, and sometimes the bag breaks. But now, see, that's clean in a sense of it doesn't have a bunch of meat stuck to it. So it doesn't require hard scrubbing. So, all right, I'm going to finish with this one and finish this other one, and I'll get back. Okay, so here's what we have. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17 meals. So even if this was $3 a pound, Ziggy, 30 divided by 17.
30 divided by 17 is approximately 1.7647.
So $1.75 per meal. You can't even get one burger patty for $1.75. So I do not season these. So if you're carnivore, you can add some Greek seasoning and some feta cheese. You could add some Southwestern seasoning and some, I don't know, Southwestern cheese, Italian seasoning with Italian cheese. You can dress these up any way you want to. I do not add any seasoning because now I will take this fat and I will turn it into dog treats. If I seasoned my meat, I would not be able to do that. Let me show you how it looks now that it's in this container. You can see this much is fat and that much is the rendered liquid. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator until that hardens. And when it hardens, I can then pop out the fat and leave the liquid behind. And then I can melt it down into dog treats. Or last time, I just dumped it all in there and didn't separate them. I'll show you how that looks now. The fat is this piece. And the liquid, the liquid that's at that bottom of it, that is this piece. So the dogs can have a bite of just the liquid or the fat or both. So I pour this out and make it really thin, and then the dogs get their own fat bombs, meat treats, and it's all 100% natural. There's nothing added to it because I don't season it. So it's just meat juice and meat fat. So yeah, so if you don't have dogs, you can save this and do whatever you want to. You could add this fat to your green beans. You could add it to whatever you wanted to add it a beefy flavor to. So like I said, I'm going to, actually I think I am going to pour this out into my big container and then just let it freeze. Hang on. I'm going to pour it into this big sheet cake. One, it's got higher sides and it'll make them thinner. And then that way, when I freeze it, it will, I did not wrap this. I do realize that. Usually I put aluminum foil in there. But anyway, I did this because when I used the cookie sheets last time, it made it too high on the sides, and I thought I was going to spill it. So this time I didn't have to do that. So now I'm going to pop this in my freezer. I've got a space for it, and I'll let it freeze up. I'll show you where I put it. Hang on. Change of plans. This is too wide for my freezer, but I've already committed. So I've got this in my refrigerator, and I'm going to let the fat solidify. And then when it's more solid, then I'll put it into my chest freezer. But for now, I'm just going to leave it in here. And like I said, when the fat hardens up and on the top of it, then I'll be more confident in putting it in my fresh chest freezer so that the top will stay even and the bottom, I don't have to worry so much about it spilling out. So anyway, that's where that's going. And like I said, I'll freeze them, and you can go back to my other previous videos to see how I make dog treats. But yeah, so that's where it's going to go. And then I'll freeze it and make dog treats later. All right, that's the end. All right, I just got home from my mama's, and we're going to see if how this is going to work. I just cut a straight line just to see how it would look. And now I will break it up, of course, but so that's how it looks. Then there's the gelatinous piece underneath of it. But maybe, now I got to break it up. Sorry, I'm thinking and talking at the same time. So if I break it up, I don't know if you can see that. It's so pale, it's hard to see. But so I just I did a line, just like I'm cutting a cake. I'm just doing a line all the way across. Hang on, let me get this one out. And I can do them all the way across. I wanted to test it with that one. I'm going to get out my bench scraper, I think is what y'all said it's called. You can make it as big or little as you want. You can make these for humans or for your pets. Whatever you want to use it for. Whatever you don't want to use it for. You could even freeze them and pull them out whenever you're cooking for something. That's a little too thick. There we go. Alright, so we've got the lines going this way. So let's take some lines going the other way. If you're patient enough, if you leave it in that original container, then you will have just the fat. Like right in here, I've got the fat and that gel stuff mixed together. So I might have regrets about this because it's probably going to all stick together. Whereas when I freeze it, it doesn't. But it's all right. So tip for you, put this in your freezer, and after it's frozen, then you can take it all out, and yeah, well, forget it. It is what it is. I may have to beat it up later. I don't know. It's just what I'm gonna do. I'll see how it goes in the freezer. I can already tell this is a big mistake, but I'm committed. So maybe the gelatinous stuff will be okay in the freezer. When I commit to something, I commit all the way, even if it is dumb. No, I'm not dropping any more for you, buddy. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the freezer for a couple hours, and I'll show you how it looks. And I'm going to let one of them lick this thing off. Okay, you lick that off. Sammy, you lick this. Anyway, I'll get back with you in a couple hours. Oh, you can't even see the containers. Hang on. I'll show y'all in a minute. Here, Sam. This is the containers. And you can see it's still gelatinous. So I'm going to pop it in the freezer and see how it goes down. Here you go, Lou. Callie. Here you go, sis. I'll see y'all when it's done. I think my girl's going to get it all clean. Then I'll just have to run a little bit of hot soap and water. But she's smart. She's got her feet in it because it was sliding around. The boys couldn't figure it out. But my girl, she's got her some sense. She's getting every little bit of that off of there. Hey, it's been 2 hours, and I'm happy it did not stick as bad as I thought it was going to. It's 2 hours. The other part's a little bit gummy. But still, but still, look, it's doing well. So, yeah. So anyway, this is the dog treats, and they will work. I can break them apart and give the dogs a treat, and there you go. So that is how you can make dog fat bombs. And here, I'll let you see how I give it to them. Sometimes I use a spoon, but I've got these right now, so. Okay. And see, this has some of the broth and the fat on this one. They're like, shut up and give it to us already. It's a mouthful of, hang on, Blue. Here you go, buddy. And I'll break them up once they freeze a little better. I'll kind of, don't you bite me easy. And I'll kind of bang them around a little bit, but there we go. Fat bombs for the puppy dogs. All right, that's all I got. Bye. Look what you see. Dogs. Ha ha. That's what make the world go round.